I always err more to the side of like recovering from injury. And so we will focus a bit more of like a gentle practice today. I will throw in some modifications. So if you're feeling like maybe I'm a little bit past that, or you want to take what we've done and then progress it, you have a few places to go. You don't really need any props for today's class. I'm going to use, in Pilates, we really are focused on a neutral spine. And so when we're lying on our backs, most people, I always say pretty much anyone over the age of like 10 needs a little padding under their head, just because we end up being a little bit forward in our upper backs and a little extended up at our necks. So when you lie back, you might not notice it, but you feel almost like your head's kind of like tipping backwards off your body. So this just brings us back into a more neutral alignment. So if you do have something, like I'm just using a hand towel for it, a couple of inches is good. So if you do have something, like I'm just using a hand towel for it, a couple of inches is good. Yeah, just make sure you've got a couple of inches under your head. But just like Lindsay said, listen to your body. If you're like, this is uncomfortable, I'd rather have nothing, do what feels good for you. Okay. All right. So I've been here a couple of times before, and the first session I did really focuses on like the basics of Pilates and all of the kind of 5 principles that Pilates is built on. I'm going to rip through those, the ones that are important for us today, in like a minute. So if you need more clarification on those, go back. I'm trying to remember what month it was in. Anyways, it's like an introduction to Pilates, or Pilates for beginners. So it's back in the library of videos on the Pain Free Club. Okay, so we are all going to start lying on our backs. The other thing I was going to say, if you have a ball, you don't need one. So don't go rummaging through your house for the next 5 minutes. If you have one close by, grab it. And if you don't worry. Okay, so find your mat or a spot on the carpet or the hardwood floor. It might be a little tough, but you're going to start lying on your back with your knees bent. Okay. And I'll just get maybe Lindsay to give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me from back here. That's okay. Okay, awesome. So lying on your back with your little cushion under your head. So when we're here, I'll just get everyone, and again, pain-free range, to kind of just rock their hips a little bit forward and back. So you're going into like a little pelvic tuck where I'm tucking my bum off of the ground gently, and then very, very slightly extending the other way. So I'm tilting my pelvis away from me. So a little rock towards, and very gentle and away. And so you can feel as you go through these 2 ranges of motion that your whole back kind of slides up and down on the mat, okay? You can feel like your head almost starts to nod up and down, okay? Pause in the middle. So somewhere that feels natural, okay? If you take one of your hands and just tuck it behind your lower back, you should just barely be able to wiggle your fingers in underneath your low spine. We don't want oodles of space through there, nor do I want you to not be able to get your back glued to the mat. We don't want that. Somewhere in the middle. That being said, this is a natural position. I never want anyone to force the arch in their low spine. That is, Pilates for hips is going to end up with like Pilates and a sore back. So don't do that. Keep it natural, okay? We'll start in that position. That usually brings the rest of your spine into a sense of neutral. Some people will need some more padding in other places, but for our purposes, this is where we're going to hang out today, okay? So I'll get everyone to take both of their hands and place them across their low belly. So that space between your belly button and your pubic bone. Everyone's going to take a big breath in through your nose, send that breath deep into your low belly, let it flow up into your rib cage and into your chest. You should feel inflated like a balloon here. And as you exhale through pursed lips, I want you to have a sense of deflating through your low core without changing your back. And then feel your rib cage funnel down and in. Finally, at the top, your chest starts to drop inward. Another big breath in through your nose. Breath deep into your belly. Expand the space where your hands are. Let your ribs and your chest fill with air. And exhale through pursed lips. start to feel that sense of deflating. And at this moment, if you've done any of my last videos, you want to think of a gentle lift of your pelvic floor. And if that's not making sense right now, that's okay. Inhale, let that connection go. Breathe in through your nose into your belly, into your ribs, into your chest. And this is our last big exhale like this. Feel that connection through pelvic floor, that draw in through your low core. Now maintain that inward pull through your low belly. Breathe in through your nose and into your rib cage. Exhale again through pursed lips. Just feel your ribs funnel down, maybe a bit of confirmation that your core is still active here. Inhale, breathe in through your nose into your rib cage. Exhale again, ribs come down. You can place your hands on your ribs like I am, or if you're happier to keep them on your low belly, you can. And then one more time like this, breathe in. And exhale, ribs come down. Really let your head, your ribs, and your pelvis feel heavy to the mat. We inhale again into our rib cage. This time, we're going to take our right knee and drop it to the side. So the goal is to keep your pelvis steady as you do that. So inhale, stay. Exhale, let your right knee drop to the side. You roll to the outside of your right foot, but try to have a sense of drawing in through your low belly, hip bone to hip bone. Inhale, come back to center. Left side. Exhale, let your left knee drop to the side. Inhale, come back to center. So now I've got my hands resting across my hips, the top of my pelvis, front of my pelvis. Exhale, right knee. Inhale, back to center. So continue on here, left side. Exhale to drop. Good. Inhale to center. So yes, keep going. And as you have your hands across the front of your pelvis, you can notice if there's any movement. If you feel your pelvis tilting towards the dropped leg, try to focus back in on that sense of drawing in through your low abdominals, a sense of deflating between your hip bones, okay? This activates what's called our transversus abdominis muscles. The one on the right and the one on the left work together. They wrap around the low part of your torso and they create some stability and compression through your pelvis and your low back. And so anytime we're working through our hips, we want to be active through those muscles so that we've got a steady base. So as we're moving our legs within our hip sockets, we're not letting our pelvis and spine take some of that movement as well. We've stabilized through those two parts so that our legs can move freely within our hips, hip joints, hip sockets, okay? So end up on the left, finish the left side, and then come back in. All right, now depending on what sort of surface you're on, we're gonna be sliding our feet around a little bit. And so I'm on bare feet on the carpet, so I'm gonna tuck my mat up underneath me. I want my feet on the carpet. If you're on hardwood, it's nice to have socks on the hardwood, anywhere where your foot will slide freely. Bare feet on a sticky yoga mat is not great. You just pull your mat around, okay? So here we are with your hands again across your pelvis. We're still in that neutral spine, gentle space in the low back. This time as you inhale, we're gonna slide the right leg away. You won't feel much here other than pressing through your foot, okay? This on the way back in is where the work is. So I'm exhaling, confirming that draw in through my low core, and I'm dragging my foot back in. So as I drag my foot back in and I connect in through my core, I tried not to give into the friction under my foot and slide down the mat, but use my abdominals to stabilize at my core. Left side, same thing. Inhale, slide away. Exhale, deflate your core, draw your left foot back in. You don't have to come to a full extension. Right side, inhale away. Exhale, drag back in. So what you should feel here is a sense of inward connection. Inhale, left leg out. As you drag your foot back in, yeah, you feel your deep low core working here. We're going to just do one more on either side. Nice. These are very gentle movements. And so if it's hard to connect into them right now, that's okay. We're just filling your toolbox with a few little ideas to warm your hips up, okay? All right, we're going to combine those last two ideas. So listen carefully. This takes a slight bit of coordination. We're starting on the right leg. So on my inhale, I'm going to let my right knee drop to the side, just like we did, steady pelvis. I'm also going to slide it away. That's one inhale. As I exhale, I inwardly rotate my right leg and drag it back in. Inhale, drop to the side, reach it away from your body. Exhale, inwardly rotate, drag it back in. Couple more. Inhale, rock out, slide away. Exhale, inwardly rotate, draw in. And so the whole goal of this is to hold your pelvis steady as you swivel the head of your femur bone or your thigh bone around in your pelvis. Same thing, left side. Inhale, knee drops to the side, extend away. Exhale, inwardly rotate and come back. 3 more. Inhale, out and away. Exhale, rotate in and return. Great. 2 more. So always drawing in through your low core, that connection, hip bone to hip bone. It should almost feel like running, like there's a seatbelt running hip bone to hip bone across the front of your pelvis. And draw back in. Okay, nicely done. And so you can also reverse the direction of that when you're doing it on your own. Knee in, slide away, rock out, come back in, and go this way. So it's called hip release. So we're really just finding some mobility at your hip joints, just warming up the joint. The more we warm it up, the more it kind of lubricates in there and gets all ready for movement. So that's a great place to warm up. Send your mat back out if that's where you are. We're going to go into something called hip rolls here, which is rolling up into a bridge. This isn't going to feel great for everyone. And so if bridges are a bit scary for you, I'm going to get you to just keep your bum really close to the ground. So in Pilates, when we go into a hip roll, we roll our spine, our pelvis and our spine off the mat. So we roll to the top, take a breath, and then exhale, roll back down to the bottom. Okay. If you're happy through your low back, glutes are on, then we can start to roll all the way up. So how we're going to start here, and this will be a good introduction for people who aren't ready to lift their hips. If you're going to keep your hips down, keep your cushion under your head. If you're going to roll all the way up, your cushion can go. Okay. So plant your feet down hip distance apart on your mat. Hip distance apart is about the width of your ears, side to side. Okay, it's not that wide. And I want you to really focus on grounding your heels into the mat. So to begin, all you're doing is starting to curl your core in and tuck your bum. Notice as you start to curl, right away, you have to put more pressure in through your heels. As soon as you start to push through your heels, even before my bones have come off the ground here, I can feel my bum start to work. And so if you're having a hard time noticing in your body, do like me and put your hands on your bum, like right at the base of your sits bones there. And so start that press of your heels, feel the connection in your glutes, and then release it. Press into your heels, tuck your bum a little bit, and back down. We curl and we release. And so I hope that everyone's starting to feel that. If you notice one side's really firing, the other isn't, put more weight into that side, or just focus, like my left was being kind of lazy. I'd press through my left heel and just see if I can connect through my glute on that side, or just my right heel and see how that goes. This is how we start, okay? If that's feeling good, hands can come back down to your sides for a little extra support. We breathe in. On your exhale, draw your core in nice and strong like we did on those initial breaths. Press through your heels as you tuck your pelvis and roll it like a wheel off of the ground. Only come up as high as you're comfortable. And notice at the top that we don't go so high that we extend our low back or our upper back off the ground, but I connect my ribs down into my hips. Breath here. Exhale, melt back down. Curl through your spine, one vertebra at a time back to the mat. Breathe in at the bottom. Exhale, imprint. That's that curl in of your low core. Tuck your bum, curl up. Take a breath in at the top and then roll back down. If you had a ball or something nearby, you could tuck it between your knees here if you want to. Exhale to roll up. Always noticing that press through your heels and connection into your bum. Exhale, roll down, think soft through your neck and shoulders as you begin that curl down to the mat. We've got 2 more here. That's it. And back down. And if you are going into the full exercise with a lifted pelvis, what you can do is on this last one, add a little progression. This could be something to work towards if you're just off the ground slightly. I don't have my ball, but you can imagine it's there. Exhale, you would squeeze into the ball, inhale, release. I'd squeeze into the ball, release. If you don't have a ball right now, you can do exactly what I'm doing. Every time I squeeze into my real or imaginary ball, I want to feel this inward draw of my core more and this tuck up of my pelvis a little bit more. And I'll get a bit of an inner thigh connection, but I'll also start to feel more work through the outsides of my glutes, those gluteus medius muscles. Okay, we'll do 1 more there. And then exhale, roll back down. So if you did get into those heel squeezes or knee squeezes, that starts to build a little bit of heat. So that's great. You can start to feel things working a little bit more. All right, we are gonna roll to the side. So everyone can roll to face their camera or face their computer so they can see me. And so when we're in a side lying position, you can pad your head with a ball or a yoga block or a blanket folded up or whatever you have handy, or you can just tuck your head, or sorry, your wrist under your head. So I'll show you without anything. I would bend my elbow and then rest my head kind of on my wrist. See if you had a bracelet on, that's where you'd rest it. All right. And if I imagine that I'm up against a wall, I'd have my head, my bum, and my heels up against the wall. So sometimes I need to look at my feet to see what my heels are doing. And the thing that can very easily happen here is that we come into our sideline position. Where can I be here? And then we like do this, just like we're curling up in bed at night. So there's no space at all between my head and my shoulder. And so if I really do bring my head to my wrist, that's going to pull my shoulder down so that it's stacked. It's right underneath my top shoulder. And now I actually have some space through here. That's going to accommodate my neutral spine. So here I am, head, bum, and heels in one straight line. And keep this really gentle. You want to find a little window of space underneath your ribs. And this is the gentle part, is like a very slight reach backward with your tailbone. So what that does is it sort of deepens the hip joint crease here. This is like the only time I'll ever get anyone to like really actively extend their low spine. Keep it gentle. If you've got stuff going on through there, don't worry about it, okay? But if you're feeling good through there, gentle, gentle extension. We still want to feel this connection in through our core. And I'll get everyone to roll their hips just like an inch forward. So your top hip rolling gently towards the ground in front of you. Okay. Keep your top hand on your bum. You want to feel it like right in here. So having your hand there is helpful. So take a breath in. On your exhale, I want you to think about rotating your inner thigh on your top leg forward toward me. And then come back down. Exhale. Little rotation to come up. Inhale, back down. Remember, I'll get everyone to do this again, to lengthen their tailbone out to the wall behind them. When we start to tuck our bums here, which almost everyone will do naturally, that's going to get us more into our glute med muscles, the bigger movers. I want to take those away and get you to work just on your hip rotators here. So if we go into that little bit of extension, out of the tuck, you can start to feel that a little bit more. You might notice work on the bottom side glute as well. That is just the bottom side stabilizing to help you. And when your hand is on your hip, be really careful. You can notice if you're starting to roll back. If you start to roll back, this exercise is out the window. You got to keep your hips stacked where they are. Last one on this side. And back down. Okay, let's try the other side. Clamshells are really tough. You have to be so precise and specific about your setup. It's really tough to teach them like online like this and trying to give you lots of different cues of how to set yourself up. And so if you're doing it correctly, it should feel almost like a little bit shaky as you pick your leg up. Okay, so again, we're setting up here, head on a ball or a block or a blanket, elbows pointing forward. You've got space between your neck and your shoulder and your head, a little window of space underneath your waist here, just below your ribs. Head, bum, and heels all in one straight line. And those 80,000 things. Reach your tailbone behind you. Good, little connection inward of your core. Breathe in here. Exhale, we're rotating. So don't think about lifting your knee up to the ceiling. I want you to think about rotating your inner thigh forward. Inhale, return, hand on your top hip. Yes, exhale to rotate. Inhale, return. If it doesn't feel shaky and you've got a little more space to extend your tailbone behind you, do it. And I'm talking like half an inch, like very, very tiny. No one needs to be like really lengthening back. It's these teeny tiny subtle shifts. Yeah. Again, if you're not feeling the shakiness, you can always roll slightly more forward. And do really notice if you're starting to roll back. Everyone looks good here from what I can see. Yeah, don't worry about the height you're getting. Go more about the feeling that you're getting into your top hip there. That's right. Just a couple more. And last one. All right. Nice job, everyone. Okay, we're going to take this into a standing position. So this next exercise we're going to do in standing. You can do it lying down as well. I just find it's trickier. So we're trying it in standing today. Once you get the feeling of it, you can take it into that sideline position. So see if you've got something that you can hold on to, like the wall beside you. I'll just tip my camera a little here. That sort of doesn't work. I need to see my feet too. Okay. I think you can see my feet. Okay, so I'm standing here. I've got my wall for balance, okay? Or if you're like in the kitchen, hold the island, something, okay? You wanna make sure you've got something. So I'm gonna stand on my left foot. I want to imagine that I'm standing in a box. So if I even take my fingers and draw like, this is the top of the box, these are the sides, this is the back, okay? I'm going to send my right leg to the back corner of my box, all right? So I'm gonna stand on my left, really nice and tall. And when I move my right leg, I'm gonna really, you can see my ankles super duper flexed here. I am pressing as much as I can out through my heel. So as soon as it comes to lift off the ground, I'm reaching my heel away so that I don't hike my right hip. And then I come back in. I'm pressing away. So as soon as my foot comes off the floor, I want to like feel like I'm still reaching my heel toward the carpet and then back in. And you can start to feel as you lift and you reach, like someone's pulling your leg out of your hip socket. It's again, this work here, the side glute. Big reach. You can always do this too if you've got like an old phone book or an old textbook or something. You can stand on that. And then you don't have this awkward like get off the floor moment. You can even just bring it so you tap down. The standing leg, my left leg, I'm holding on like it's like I'm standing on a pillar. And so this leg is active. I'm lifting through my quad. I'm squeezing my bum as best as I can on that side. One more time. Good. And so some people might feel more work on the standing leg than the moving leg. That's not wrong, okay? That's a thing that can happen, just stabilizing, okay? Let's try the other side. So you might have to turn away from me, that's okay. I've got this. I'm gonna show you something on the chair later, so I have it handy, I'll use that. So you're standing in your spot, you've got your box. I'm really visual, so drawing the box is helpful for me. I'm going to the back corner of my box, not to the side, not straight behind, to the back corner. So I'm standing tall on my right leg this time, right leg, I've got a puppet string coming out of the top of my head, breathe in, exhale, press away, away, away with my left heel as I reach my leg back and then return. Press back, inhale, return. In Pilates, we always coordinate the breath to the movement. And so if that's really confusing for you, don't worry about it. We're a little naturally stronger on our exhales. That's where we typically do the work part or the more difficult part. But if you're like, breath in, breath out, don't worry about it. Just breathe. You have to keep breathing though. 2 more. Really press, really reach. Hand on your hip is helpful to notice if you're getting that lift or that hike. Nice. And in. Good job. Okay, can everyone feel that kind of through their hips on the outsides? Yeah. And so you can take this into a lying position. You would just imagine I'm lying down here. I would lie exactly like I was on the mat for clamshells, right? I would just set myself up the same way. I could keep my bottom leg bent and I would still go out and back, right? Not right to the ceiling, slightly behind. Okay. All right. We are going to stay standing here. And we're going to explore squats. So squatting is a great exercise for your hips. It's also really, it can be really difficult to pattern it properly. All right. So I'll do my best here to kind of teach all of you a nice squat position. So you want to make sure that you're standing hip distance apart with your feet. If for some reason that feels unstable, you're welcome to go a little bit wider. Not crazy, okay? Just get about hip distance apart, all right? I'm going to show you a few different versions of squats here. I'll show you first what I want to see. This is a good version of a squat. It's like I'm getting a karate chop through my hips. I'm going to reach back through my tailbone. So you can see I'm still in this sort of neutral spine, all right? From my head to my tail. And then I come back up. This is a great squat for your hips because you're actually using your hips. Notice my knees. They don't move far over my toes, okay? A little bit, not much, okay? Often I see squats done like this, okay? I feel like next to nothing in my bum, my shins are pulling, my quads are working really hard. And I come back up and then I say, why are squats for my glutes? I don't understand, okay? Try to stay out of that. So just like I said, karate chop through the hips. Let me pull my hair up for, just so I can show you something too. So stand tall. You can like actually take your hands here and like hi-ats right in the fold of my hip joints. That's your initiation. Do this, start to come here. That's the first step, okay? It's just sending your bum behind you. So really you are putting a lot of weight behind your body. This is why often when people squat, they send their arms out, okay? If I go into a full squat and I don't move my arms, I'm gonna like fall backwards, okay? I'm sending so much weight behind me, I need to counterbalance it with my arms. So try that a couple more times, just that little bend. Really feel like you're reaching your tailbone back and then return. I should also say, when you come back and I say reach your tailbone back, don't do this. That's like icky, ouchy for my spine. As I karate chop at my hips, I still want a sense of lengthening downward with my tailbone. Think of a drop of water rolling down your spine. You want it to drop right off your tailbone and not get caught in your lower back where it just build a little pool there, okay? And then that's the pattern you want. Yeah, if you look down, still falling over, and you look down, you should see like your whole feet, at least midfoot out to the tips of your toes, okay? If you come down and your feet have disappeared, take your hands again, karate chop at your hips. Change the angle so your tail's reaching back. All right. Yeah, that's it. I'll come a little closer and just show like that karate chop right through there. Okay. And you can take that however far you want. Another, within reason. Another thing to notice, often we do squats and we keep lifting through our gaze, right? You can see I'm really extended at my neck here. If I keep my neck in line with the rest of my spine, so I'm looking down maybe 5 feet in front of me, that's going to naturally allow my low spine to lengthen. If I kink the back of my neck, almost instinctually, I'll also reach my tailbone to the ceiling, really extended my back here. I feel a lot of back work. If I tuck my chin, find length at the base of my hairline, and look down 5 feet, that kind of naturally feels now like I can lengthen, okay? All right, often too, we see knees dropping in. If you are a knees dropping in person, I don't have it with me, but you could put a band, even like tie a pair of tights or something around, just so you've got something to gently press out into, okay? Or you can take a ball, place it here, come down just to keep you knees over your second or third toe. All right. Nice, everybody. Look at those beautiful squats. Lindsay's probably showed you all this before. Really good work. Okie dokie. Very nice. We are going to go into some stretching. Stretching for hips is so lovely. And so I wanted to give you a nice chunk of time at the end to actually stretch. Okay. So we will start on our backs, on our mat again. If you have tightness sort of through your neck and shoulders, you might want to try to angle yourself a little close to a wall. That'll make more sense in a second. But if you've been using a cushion, grab your cushion, place it behind your back. We're going into a figure 4 stretch. Okay, so if you feel typically quite good through your neck and shoulders, your feet are planted hip distance apart. I'll pick up my right leg. I'm crossing my right ankle over my left knee. Okay, for some, this might be it. That might be enough. Okay, if it's not, you can always come up onto your toes on the bottom leg, the left leg. Or if it's available to you, you can take both hands, draw the bottom leg in towards your body and take a stretch there, okay? This can turn into like this, like tight through my neck and shoulders really easily. And then as much as I'm stretching my right glute and rotators, I'm also getting a lot of strain through my neck and shoulders. So if that's you, I want you to come close to a wall. The setup's a little awkward, but it's worth it. So I'm sitting about slightly less than a foot away from the wall. I'm going to sort of rotate my body as I come back, okay? And then I'm going to twist over so my feet are on the wall. Then again, take my right ankle, cross it over my left knee, okay? And now I don't have to do anything. Okay, I still get this knee pulling in. I can come up onto my toes a little bit for more, and I can just relax here. I don't have to do anything. So if you're tight through neck and shoulders, use the wall, use the couch, whatever, ottoman, whatever you got. So we'll just hang out there for another breath or two. If you're on the ground here, I will get you to put your left foot back down. And now what you're going to do is take this whole shape and rotate towards the floor to the left. So you're taking your lower half and I'm rotating toward the left. So I get, again, a nice stretch through here. If getting to the ground like this, like if you're not getting your top foot to the ground, take a blanket, take a ball, take something so that I can come over and rest my foot on it. The more you can relax into these stretches, the better. So if you're here and you're like, struggling to get, you can't relax there because you're having to hold your leg up. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Nice, Lindsay. Nice juicy hips. If you're against the wall, you can be here and do a similar thing. You can start to rotate. Again, I'll show you this way so you can see. Right? If I start to come here, again, I'd probably need to get my ball or whatever, a blanket, a pile of laundry, and rest my foot there. This should feel like a nice deep stretch right into your rotators. Okay, let's come out of that and try the other side. So you're crossing right over left. We're going to go left over right. Choose the wall if that's for you. I don't know if anyone's using the wall. It's a bit of a process to get there. Okay, so hug your right thigh this time in towards your chest. The more you can feel dropped at your pelvis and folded at your hip joints, the more stretch you're going to get. So it's already kind of an intense stretch, but if you're like, oh, I don't really feel it, just release your pelvis so that it rocks towards the ground. Again, we're never forcing arches through our low spine. Just want to feel like heavy at your tailbone and that this hip joint creases or deepens as you pull in. Okay, we'll come down from there. Nothing changes in your setup. And we just now rotate towards the right. So I'm letting this whole shape timber to the ground. Again, pad your left foot if you need to with something. And this gets pretty tight. So a nice little trick is to really think about sending your breath toward the part that feels tight. So if I imagine like my lungs were in my left kind of hip area, and I take a breath in, I direct my breath to that area, you can start to feel things begin to let go. We always want to go to a point of gentle tension, never stretching so much that you feel like your eyeballs are going to pop out. Gentle stretch, and then we can slowly move deeper. All right, pull yourself back up to center. And we're going to go into a little hip flexor stretch. So again, you may want to prop yourself up close to a wall just for balance. So you'll start kneeling. Pad your knees if you've got trouble there, okay? And you're going to march your left foot forward. Okay. Yeah, this position alone can be a little like balancy. So if you need to grab the wall, do that. So before I do anything, I'm going to squeeze my right bum. If you're like, how do I squeeze just one bum? Just squeeze your bum together. Both glutes working to pull in, okay? And then, or almost a sense of tucking, okay? And then you can feel some people right now are gonna already get this stretch up through the front of your hip. You're gonna slowly, carefully shift your weight forward, never letting this glute go. So I can slowly start to go. I'm always getting this sense of tucking, like I'm lifting up through the front of my pelvis, tucking down through the back of my pelvis. And it's not a huge movement here, okay? Really, and you can take your hand and like palpate your hip flexors here. Sometimes just bringing some touch and awareness to that area. It's really right beside there, right? That'll help it to release. And another progression from here, you won't be able to see my hand totally, but I'm going to take my right hand and bring it right up over my head. So I'm never releasing that glute. As I open and reach to the ceiling, never behind me, but to the sky, I feel my rib cage pulling away from my pelvis. And just take a couple of breaths there. You can start to feel a nice release happen through the front of your pelvis on the right side. Okay, let's come down from there. Same thing on the other side. So now your right foot marches forward. We come up, squeeze your bum right away, specifically the left, if not both, okay? And then we're just carefully, slowly starting to shift our weight forward, continuing to tuck the pelvis underneath. It doesn't look like much because in this position, we don't have much tuck available, but we still really want to work for it. And you can touch, remember, take your left hand, get into your hip flexor, touch it. That helps it to release and for your body to start to notice what we're trying to do here. Hip flexors get so sticky. And it might take a few repetitions of this to actually feel your hip flexor open. That's not wrong. Arm up if that felt good. And breathe there. Feel your ribs opening, closing. Okay, nice job. Coming out of that. Okay, so I had my trusty chair here. I'm not sure what everyone's set up. I see one chair there. Although it's a rolly chair. Rolly chairs can be tough for this one, but we'll give it a go. If you've got like a couch or a bed or something nearby you that you can sit on, try that, or an exercise ball or anything really, okay? And if not, just watch this and you can take notes and try it next time try it when you go down at your kitchen table to have lunch. This is a nice hamstring stretch, okay? Okay, I'm gonna tip this a little bit. Okay, here I am. I'm gonna sit right on the edge of my chair, okay? I'm here. I'm gonna kick my right foot forward. So right heel. Watch here that you're not like dumping back into your knee here. Your knee can just be soft. Be aware of what's happening there, okay? And now I can reach for this nice sunspot on my wall. I'm gonna bring my arms right out in front of me and I'm reaching forward, okay? As I reach forward, I can think about sending my sits bones down and back, or tailbone down and back. And I start to get a nice stretch kind of through the back of my leg into my hamstring. This is a nice release to do if you're sitting at your desk for a long time. You can start to draw up through your quad for a little more support through your knee. Never again pressing back to engage your quad, but lifting up to engage your quad. The reason I have you reaching forward here is so that we don't just sit here and do this, so that you don't just reach for your toes and feel nothing through your back, or sorry, nothing through your leg, but a big stretch through your back. You need to stretch your back. This is wonderful, okay? We're looking for hamstring stretch. We're just creeping forward. And you can start to rock your front leg kind of out. Notice, what does that feel like? Rock in. I find this is a pretty accessible hamstring stretch for a lot of people. And it's a nice break if you're working hard at your desk and you need a moment. So come back in, switch feet. And then again, reach directly forward. Kneecap draws up the front of my quad, not backward to the floor, lifting up to support my knee joint. And once you've got the angle and what's happening through your spine sorted out, you don't have to keep reaching. You can start to bring your hands down, but just have that sense. And if you notice you're starting to collapse forward, find it again. Find that sense of head and tail length away from each other. You can even go back to that inward support of our low core here, just to keep the length at our low back. Give some support for our low back. Low back extensors love to work really hard. So if we can give them some help, that's a good thing. Remember to send your breath into what feels tight. Play around with it. You can start to bend your knee, hinge forward, straighten more, rotate out, rotate in. Nice. You can walk your foot back in. All right, my friends. You've done it. Great job. All right. If anyone has any questions, I kept you 1 minute extra. That's really good for me. Classic for 15, 20 minutes. Really had to work to plan that out.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Yeah, hopefully everyone got some just little things that you can start to work on, right? Just those little hip rolls off the ground, tiny tucks, just to activate through the glutes. If you've been told that you have like lazy bum syndrome, this is a really nice exercise just to get your brain to talk to your bum by pressing your heels into the floor. Wake those guys up. Lazy bum syndrome is very common.
And like Joe said at the beginning, you guys can go into your membership site and you can literally just search. You can either search her name or search Pilates, and all the videos that she's done in the past will pop up. There's, I think, 2 so far. There's Intro to Pilates, and then there's Pilates for upper body. So you can go watch those if you're interested in that. And we've got our class next week, Thursday at noon, yoga for a better back with Sylvia. So that one should be really good. I'm looking forward to it. So put it in your calendar. If you can join us on Thursday, that would be lovely. If not, the recording will be up on the membership site a couple business days after the class, as always.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. It was nice to have you all here on a Saturday morning.